All right, everybody. So this is the rock and mineral review for the test. We're starting off with number one. So number one says the diagram below shows three stages in the formation of a specific rock. All right, we see stage one, remains of partially decayed plants. Burial produces pressure from overlying sediments, and further burial creates more pressure. Which rock is formed as a result of these three stages? Okay. So one of the key things, I'm gonna look at stage one. And stage one, I already see remains of partially decayed plants. I remember seeing something about plants, about a rock actually having remains of a plant, right, from somewhere. So I know it's either going to be in page 6 or page 7 of the reference tables. So when I take a look and I scroll to page 7, right, one of the things that I see right here where it says bituminous coal, it says compacted plant remains. So the fact that I know that compacted plant remains is highlighted here, just like it states that there's remains of decayed plants here, that lets me know that it can be bituminous coal, right? Even if you wanted to say, well, there's coal from metamorphic rock, when you look at the comments, this anthracite coal actually came from bituminous coal and it went through metamorphism. So the origin of this rock actually started here, where there's compacted plant remains. So bituminous coal would be my answer. And when I look at my choice, it ends up being D, choice number one. For number two says, base your answers to the following questions on the block diagram below, which shows a cross section of Earth's crust. Letter A identifies a lake, and B through G represents different types of bedrock, right? So all of that we see here are different layers of rock. So it says rock C most likely resulted from what? So I see rock C and I see the word limestone. I see the word limestone. So I know that rock C is a limestone. Now, what's interesting about it is rock C most likely resulted from what? We have to ask ourselves, well, what type of rock is a limestone? So I'm gonna scroll through pages 6, I'm gonna scroll through pages 7, looking for the rock limestone. I don't see it in igneous rocks, it's nowhere here. I'm gonna scroll to sedimentary rocks, and what do you know? I see limestone right here. And what type of rock is limestone? When I take a look, limestone can either be a bioclastic or a crystalline rock. So it's either a rock that was made with animal remains, right? Or some sort of remains of organisms like shells, or it's made from the evaporation of seawater, right? And the crystals that are left behind. So the fact that I'm gonna look at my choices, and the only thing that I see, I know that I'm dealing with a sedimentary rock. So rapid cooling of lava, that's an igneous rock. Regional metamorphism, that's a metamorphic rock. I only see compaction, cementation of angular quartz fragments, and precipitation of minerals from evaporating water. When I look at my reference tables and I look at limestone, one of the things that I see automatically is I see precipitates of biologic origin right here. And I see a word that's familiar to that, precipitation of minerals from evaporating water. And so that's why it is choice D. It can't be choice C because if you take a look, compaction and cementation of angular quartz fragments, the sedimentary rock that's made up of angular fragments is not limestone. Instead, it is breccia. But limestone one way could be created from the precipitates of biologic origin, meaning that the remains of whatever's left when it's evaporated from seawater, that's what creates limestone. And that's why our answer is choice D. Number 3, it says analysis of a granite pebble would probably show that the pebble consists mostly of the what? So granite pebble. This word granite, I've seen this word before. I know that it's a type of rock. What type of rock is it? If you're ever confused as to what type of rock that you're not familiar with what type of rock is given to you, you have the freedom to just look through. I don't see granite, I don't see granite, I don't see granite. I'm looking here, I don't see granite, I don't see granite. I'm looking. And what do you know? I see granite right here, right? And what do I know about granite? So granite is an igneous rock. I know that it's an igneous rock. So that's one clue for it. Then, so they're telling me that it will consist of the minerals what, right? If I need to know what minerals it consists of, well, I'm going to scroll down. And one of the things that I see is granite consists of the mineral potassium feldspar, right? Because it's in this column here. It consists of quartz. It has some plagioclase feldspar here, right? It has some biotite, and it has some amphibole. So when I take a look, I see minerals quartz and feldspar. Because take a look, quartz and feldspar right here, quartz and potassium feldspar. And where is it located? Is literally located right on the side of granite. So that's how I know it's the correct answer. So it's choice A. Number 4, the diagram below represents the fossils found in the bedrock formation located in central Rhode Island. I already know what type of rock contains a fossil. There is only one type of rock that contains a fossil, and it is a sedimentary rock. It's a sedimentary rock, right? Sedimentary rock. So that's something to keep in mind. So in which type of rock were the fossils most likely found? All right, I already know because it says it's a fossil, I already know it has to be a sedimentary rock. Now, how do I know whether or not it was formed in a land environment or an ocean environment? When I'm looking at this, one of the things that I see familiar, I see a starfish. It looks like a starfish here. And I see a whole bunch of different shells, right? A lot of these things that I'm noticing of what I'm seeing, right? Shells and starfish, that seems like it comes from a wet environment, an environment with water. And so because of the fact that it comes from a wet environment, I know that it's a sedimentary rock that formed in an ocean environment. And that's why the correct answer is choice 4. All right. Choice A for number 4. So one thing to keep in mind, the fact that it says fossil, only one type of rock contains a fossil, and it's a sedimentary rock. All right. It's formed in an ocean environment because I see shells, I see fossils of a starfish, and those things usually come from a wet, right, an environment with water. All right, let's keep going. Boom. All right, so I'm looking for number 5. So number 5 says, which group lists rocks in order by grain size from smallest to largest? Which group lists rocks in order by grain size from smallest to largest? So that means I'm looking at the grain size and I'm looking from smallest to largest. When I'm looking at these rocks, so I see conglomerate, Sandstone and shale, right? Conglomerate, sandstone, and shale. Let me find these three rocks. Where do I find shale, sandstone, and conglomerate? Where would I find it? I know my reference tables. Once you get really good at identifying the rock, you can even know what type of rock it is just because you're so familiar with the reference tables. So sandstone, shale, and conglomerate, I'm scrolling and I already see, boom, it's on a sedimentary rock. Shale, sandstone, and conglomerate. All right. And one of the things I see, grain size, is talk about grain size. So they want it in order from smallest to biggest. So automatically, the grain size that has the smallest, I see less than 0.0004, is definitely shale. So I'm just going to write S for the smallest, right? Then the one that is the second largest, I'll put medium, is sandstone. How do I know? Because the grain size now is from 0.006 to 0.002. So sandstone is medium. And conglomerate is the biggest because look at the grain size. It says, hey, it'll include pebbles, cobbles, and boulders, right? All of these things are definitely bigger than sand and clay. So I'm going to write L for large. So I know shale is the smallest, sandstone is the second biggest, conglomerate is the biggest in grain size. So when I take a look, so remember, shale is the smallest, sandstone is the second biggest, and conglomerate is the largest. All right, from small to large. So shale is the smallest, sandstone is second, conglomerate is third, and that's why it is choice C. Okay, let's look at number 6. All right. Number 6, the information below is a classification of 6 common rocks based on how they were formed. In which group would conglomerate rock be placed in this classification? So this rock conglomerate, I gotta ask myself, where's this word familiar? Conglomerate rock, conglomerate rock. Well, let me take a look. Conglomerate, conglomerate, conglomerate rock. Okay, right here. And I notice conglomerate is a sedimentary rock. When I'm looking at these other groups, right, and it says a classification of 6 column rocks, let me see what's so familiar about Group A, basalt and granite. Where have I seen those words basalt and granite? Oh, I know, right here. Basalt and granite. They must mean igneous rocks. All right, so I get that. I get that. Granite and basalt are igneous rocks. Let's take a look. Sandstone and shale. Where do I find that? All right, let's take a look. Sandstone and shale. Where you at? Where you at? All right. Sandstone and shale are sedimentary rocks. Okay. And wait a minute. I also see conglomerate. They want to know where would conglomerate fit? Conglomerate would fit where the sedimentary rocks are. So I already see it's definitely going to be Group B. But let's say you weren't convinced. Let's find where gneiss and marble is, right? Gneiss and marble, I see, is right here. Gneiss is located here. Marble is located here. And guess what? They are all metamorphic rocks. So I can tell they're all broken up. The groups that they're broken up is one is igneous, Group B is sedimentary, and Group C is metamorphic. So conglomerate, as we just said, conglomerate is what type of rock, everybody? Conglomerate is a sedimentary rock. Right here, conglomerate, sedimentary rock. So therefore, it definitely belongs in Group B. All right, head to the next video to see the remaining questions.